let's talk about this quick sponsorship message. Mr. Joe Nicasio, who is coming on the interview on for an interview today at 6 p.m. is going to rock the house. EmployeeEscapePlan.com. If you want to have more customers pay you more money more often, or you're just, your position, your income, your growth, your marketing, it's like not quite there yet. You know that there's more. You got more within you. You can make a bigger difference. You can make a bigger impact. Then I highly recommend Joe Nicasio. He's helped me and really taught me a lot of fundamentals about marketing, about sales, and growing a business. So I highly recommend EmployeeEscapePlan.com. For the man of the hour. Hector is a millennial entrepreneur focused on giving young business owners the tools to increase their income as well as their impact in the world. After going to school for marketing and building a 7-figure direct sales team, Hector is focused on helping his students and clients translate their businesses into a digital and social world. He has built a community of over 5,000 business owners who are hungry to expand their businesses with the tools that are around them. Hector, you ready to rock this?
Let's do it. I'm ready to go.
Let's do it. Awesome. You are now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self, baby. Woo!
Thanks so much for having me, man. I appreciate you having creating this platform for people. It's great that there are people in the world like you, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And thank you for you taking your time to share with our audience all that you're doing for business owners, millennials, entrepreneurs. You are just crushing it, man. And thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So before we go into your journey, what you're doing today, all that good stuff, we're going to dive in to the question of the day, which is the theme. The theme is a new day, a new reality. So Hector, how do you approach the mindset of every day, every 24 hours, you get a new opportunity to create your reality. You get a new opportunity to start over again, to have your life look exactly how you want to. How does that show up for you? How does it show up how you relate to your clients, building a business, impacting the world?
Yeah. What comes to mind is a quote that I heard. I don't know who I heard it from, but one of my mentors told me this. I don't know the quotes from, but they said to fire yourself every night and rehire yourself in the morning.
Wow.
And that's really what kind of the way that I think about it. And that every day, I do my best. And if I suck, all right, well then I'm going to fire myself. But the next morning I'm going to rehire myself. I'm going to go after it again. And, I think for me that is a kind of a mental mindset, but then it's also an activity. It's an actual reset process. One of my biggest mentors, his name is Hal Elrod. He wrote The Miracle Morning, and since I was 18 years old, I've been getting up and waking up an hour early and just devoting that time to getting ready for the day and planning and visualizing and meditating and just making sure that before I even hit the day, before I even open the inbox, before I even hit the sales calls, that I take time for me and, I hit my own reset button. That is a big part of why I'm able to just do what I'm able to do. Yeah.
Dude, that's powerful. Wow. Awesome. So, dude, tell us more about what you're doing today with millennials, empowering people, and what you're up to, man.
Yeah, I will. I guess I'll share a little bit about my story here, but I just feel so passionate in the years. I've been running my own business for almost a decade now, and I love that there are so many tools in 2018 that weren't available in 2008. And there are so many ways that people can now make money online, especially, and in the social world that just frankly weren't around 10, 15 years ago. And so all of the excuses, all of the reasons that held people back have disappeared. And so for me, what I'm now passionate about is arming the people with the skills to actually utilize those tools, because school didn't prep people on how to do it. I got a marketing degree. College doesn't prep people on how to do it either. So because things are changing so quickly, the education system frankly hasn't caught up, and so there's this huge need of real education that a lot of quite frankly young entrepreneurs need, and I'm passionate about bringing that to people and helping them to really, I talk about hammers around them, whether it's Facebook, or whether that's doing creating your own e-commerce store, or whether it's creating your own service or making an Instagram. I mean, there's so many hammers and tools that you can pick up around you, but teaching people how to pick them up and not break the house when they're trying to build it.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. So tell us more about how you broke your house when you were trying to build it, and you obviously went through some challenges, right? You had to learn how to use these tools. You had to go through some growth opportunities, because I mean, you have to learn what not to do to teach people what not to do, and usually that's through our own pain and challenges and adversity. So share about your journey, you know, where you started, how that growth was like. Of course, there's lots of great moments and victories, and there's also lots of challenges and defeats that you had to learn from.
Yeah. Well, my frame of reference was business. And so I know that a lot of people who are watching your show are doing it, whether it's their health or their relationships or their life or whatever frame there is. I mean, I think that whenever we're going through we're trying to master something, it's the same process. So just because for me, I learned these life lessons through the challenges in my business, a lot of people learn those life lessons other places, whether it is those relationship challenges or those, physical challenges or health challenges, whatever it is. So I know that for me, that was my transformation happened through business, but I kind of always want to frame that for people who may be watching this or listening to the podcast. But it's just that I was not a natural salesperson. I mean, I remember for me going and doing my very first sales presentation, my hands were shaking, my palms were sweaty. And I just had this flashback to third grade when my third grade crush, when she rejected me. I told her, I finally worked up enough courage to tell her that I like her in the closet after school one day. And she turned around and she ran away and ran away in fear. And I didn't realize that moment I kept all with me. And so all through middle school and high school, I carried this sense of insecurity and the sense of doubt and the sense of lack thereof, and always questioning myself. And so it took a sales presentation, it took building a business for me to finally pull my head out of my butt, right? Or I don't know what the language is on this, but to finally pull my head out and realize that wasn't my truth. And so I broke a lot of my buildings because I just wasn't good at sales at the beginning. But I also wasn't someone who gave up a lot either. My mom was someone who blessed me with the ability to just stick to something. She didn't let me give up. One time when I was playing tackle football, my very first year playing tackle football, and I was the smallest kid on the team, and I got beat up every single practice, and I would cry to practice every single time, trying to let me quit. And she said, no, you signed up. If you don't want to do it again, fine, but you will finish this. And ever since then, what was interesting is I ended up becoming, the captain of the varsity team, and I was, first team all league in football. And so that kind of was the first thing that showed me that if I stick to something, even though I'm not good at it at the beginning, it doesn't mean that I can't become great at it. And I just was pigheaded about business, and I learned, and I was lucky enough to be around people who supported me, and around my family. They supported me. They didn't really understand what I was doing, but they were like, all right, we're just going to love you. And that's kind of what I needed at the moment. And I had people who showed me the way, and I had, the willingness to listen to podcasts and to, soak up YouTube videos and to buy courses and all this stuff and to educate myself outside of, the classroom especially. And, just kept going, and my first year we were terrible. We barely remained open and barely kept the doors open. And then the second year we figured it out and had some cool people join the team, and we scaled to 7 figures that year. And I learned a lot about building a team and, running an organization and leadership. And we did that 3 years in a row. And I made more money than I've ever could imagine making, the first year out of college and right out of college, but I was absolutely miserable. And was searching for that happiness in stupid stuff and trips and objects and buying stuff, when it was really, no matter how much I spent or where I went, if 90% of my day was consumed with something that wasn't fulfilling, it wasn't going to matter what I did the other 10%. And so I realized that I had to make a shift and shut down that business, shut down that 7-figure business, and had 10 employees, another bunch on staff, and got into this online thing and built an online community. And in that whole process, there's a lot of breaking as well and learning, but luckily, you can apply those past failures again so that you don't have to go through the the same learning process. Hopefully you only learn it once. And so this past year I was able to almost replace my income. We just had our first month in 10th, we have a course that I 2 courses that I do. And so we had our first 5-figure month, and we have an agency that serves clients. And so it was a whirlwind to get here. But what was nice is I was able to now get to do, this morning I got up at 4 a.m. and I was so excited about going to work, and my commute is past my closet, that's it. But I was so excited to sit down and get to work because, I knew I was being interviewed on this today, and I got to work on some other projects. So in a nutshell, that's kind of how I got here.
Damn, man. That's awesome. I love it that the one of the biggest who you're being is perseverant and like laser focused. There's nothing that's going to stop you, nothing that's going to distract you. And you're also reflective. You're also wise enough to look at, hey, I'm not really being fulfilled in this, even though I'm making all this money, even though my team's doing well, etc. Like, it's just not getting me there. So like, what was the moment where you said, hey, I'm going to do this online thing? Like what drew you to online, and why did you choose that path?
Yeah, there's two moments. The first was in 2015. I read 50 books, and I just immersed myself into learning. And real quick, I want to check in on that.
50 books. Like, what difference did that make for you?
Well, that's what it did, is expose me to all different things. And I had no idea. I thought I hated reading because they had me reading stupid books in school that I didn't care about. But I found this obsession with, it wasn't reading, but it was this obsession with learning. Mm-hmm. And I've since transitioned to audio books more. I look around and I've got, books all around. I've got some favorites, I'm always around them, but I like audio a lot more now because I can consume it faster.
Yeah.
But what it did was it exposed me to all these other opportunities of making money. I read, 10 to 12 books on real estate investing. And so that's kind of piqued my interest, and I'm going to do that in the future. But then I read, a bunch of books on relationships and a bunch of books on leadership. But then there was about 6 to 10 books that focused on this like internet marketing thing. And so I just had this aha of like, oh shit, you can like make a website and then like sell something. And like, the wheels started turning, but I didn't know what it was going to look like. Fast forward to, a couple of years later, and I was coming home from work, and I lived about 7 miles away from my office here in LA, but it took me an hour and a half to get home that day. And not because of anything crazy or anything. It was just Thursday. Like, it was just Thursday. And I was sitting at a red light one day, like literally having the same moment, like, what am I doing with my life? And I got home and I told my fiance, like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm finally going to make the leap, because I had known that, okay, I'd started to build an online audience. I'd started to sell some online kind of programs and started to do some coaching, but I was playing double dutch with it. And this was the moment where I finally kind of pushed me over the edge, and I jumped in, and it was I jumped off the cliff and was lucky to build some wings on the way down. But I think that there's always going to be that leap, and we can make that leap look as small as we want, but man, I remember as a kid, even jumping down from the trash can was a big leap at some point. So that there's always that leap, but trying to, I think that for me was really the catalyst.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. So it's like those no more moments, the decision, no more. I'm not tolerating this, this like living in this box or restriction. Like, I got to keep putting up with this. I know that there's freedom, you could taste it, you could smell it, you could sense it. There's people all around you, like, receiving it, living it. What the heck am I doing that's not allowing me to get to this? And I'm sure that there's a lot of millennials out there who are suffering from, like, damn, dude, I just feel like people keep telling me to do this stuff, like go to school, work hard, get a job. And I know it's BS. I have this sense, this intuition that what I'm doing is like BS, that like to conform into the system. So why don't you share a little bit more about like what you're teaching millennials now, and we can start diving into the marketing, telling the story.
Well, let me piggyback on that, because I think that's a great point that I always equate it to ice cream, right? And it's like, for our parents and our grandparents, they grew up and their jobs were like vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate. And you had lawyer, doctor, engineer, maybe. It was like that was successful, and there was very limited options, just like there was very limited flavors now. But kids these days, it's like they're walking into a Cold Stone or they're walking into a Baskin Robbins where they're standing in front of this thing, and I walk into a Cold Stone and I get overwhelmed. I look at all these flavors and I'm like, I don't know what I want. I don't want to make the wrong decision, right? I don't want to end up with a big old pile of ice cream that I don't like. It's the same thing that kids are doing these days because they have this mindset of they're going to work this job for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And just like their grandparents, they're going to have one career path that they end up on for the rest of their life. So they're very, very hesitant to take any action because if they get up on the wrong path, I don't want to end up like Grandpa Joe and be a plumber for my whole life because Grandpa Joe grew up in a different time though. And so for us, the difference is, right, is really just being able to, like you said, be self-aware. So I think that is the phenomenon that's happening. And I don't think that the previous generation is giving the us millennials, this young people, they're just not acknowledging that and just acknowledging that the paths are different because they still are saying, like you said, go to school, dude, like get a job, like this is the path. When that path, there's a big freaking earthquake right through that highway, and it was called the internet. There's a right, and it's like, yeah, Grandma, when you crossed the plains, okay, that path was fine, right? But since then, a meteor called the internet and Zuckerberg came and freaking blew that right into oblivion, and so we've got to find different paths to that. Yeah. And another stat that's just crazy is, in just numbers, is the people born in previous generations will, by the time they're 30, have twice as many jobs as the kids today. Literally twice as many jobs by the time that they're 30 than, the kids of today will have twice as many jobs as they did back then, right? So they're just going through that many changes. And I think kids are not willing to, the system wasn't built to let them know that failure was okay and testing was okay. The system was built to tell them that there was this path and you couldn't make a mistake on this path. Yeah,
deviation equals like no, wrong, guilt, shame.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. And the reason for me why I feel so passionate is, real estate, although there are ways that you can do it without a lot of money, for me, that just wasn't my mindset. My mindset, wasn't there. My mindset was, well, hey, if I don't have any money, I can use this internet thing. And there's no barrier to entry. I had come from a business world where just to be open, my rent was $24,000 a year, just baseline, just to be open, just for the physical space to operate, let alone my staff's wages, let alone the internet, let alone anything that it costs to actually operate a business. Just for the physical space was $24,000. So I look at this internet thing and I'm like, a website costs $24 for the year? Yeah. I like that margin a little bit better. And so that's why for me, there's no, someone with a phone, right? And even the crazy thing, I was listening to I heard someone say this, but it's so true, is that like even the homeless people in America have phones. Yep. Right? So if you have a phone and you can get to Wi-Fi, you can make money. Yep. You can create a Facebook business page and a PayPal, and you can make money. Even if you don't have a phone, you can go to a library and use a library computer and do God knows what on that computer. There's no excuses, So the barriers to entry are now down. So people's natural responses or natural next question is, okay, well, how do I do it? Yep. And that's why I feel like I even have a job.
Let's go deep, baby. Tell us, Hector.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is I'm big on stories. I think that's how people learn. Yes. But so when I work with a lot of brick and mortar businesses who have established businesses. They've been running businesses for 5-10 years, and for them, they built a business without social media. And so in their head, what I've done in the past is what's going to work in the future. And we know that that's not the case, because a year ago today, we might not have been able to have this conversation like we're having it right now. And it might not be able to be, distributed out to all the cool places in the world. I was watching earlier today, we had someone on from I had multiple people watching from Africa and all all over the globe. And so point being is that we now, it's a different world. So the old school strategies, although they may still apply, the tactics are actually different. So, and I just don't think for whatever reason, brick and mortar business owners, when they start digital marketing, when they start advertising online, they just want to take the customer home and sleep with them, right? For lack of a better term, they don't want to get their number. They don't want to date them. They don't want to meet the parents. They don't want to go on a second date. They go, I want to run an ad and I want the customer to buy tomorrow. And it's like I have clients who are like, oh, hey, we turn on the ad. We're at $20 in ad spend. What's going on? How many sales are we at? And we're like, well, that's $20. So we have to shift our expectations about what works. And the biggest shift is that you have to create a relationship with this customer because there's so many options out there, because there's so many scams out there, that the difference and the thing that's going to compel someone to buy is the relationship that they have with your brand. The same reason you do 12-hour live streams so that someone can hop in multiple times throughout the day and you're able to build a relationship at every single moment. So the great thing about technology is now you can scale that relationship. A couple hundred years ago, people could only build a relationship as much as they could talk to people one-on-one. And so you could stand on a box in the courtyard and yell to people at the square, but you're only going to be as loud. And then the printing press happened, and then and so it's the same kind of thing. It's this magnification of our message, and that's the beautiful thing about the internet. But we have to remember that it's a different kind of canvas. It's a digital canvas. So we can't just use the old styles of painting on this new canvas. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So what are the ingredients of effective, audience capturing their attention and building a relationship with them, wooing them, giving value, and what's the formula, man? Or what else do we need to know about this?
Well, I think, and it's kind of, digital marketing, cliche, right? But it comes down to this funnel, right? I have a lot of people. My partner messaged me the other day, and he's like, a customer asked me what a funnel is, and I'm like, are you for real? This is the essence of what we do, and it's just it's the example of the first day of school, right? On the first day of school, everybody, their mom, their grandma, the mailman, everybody ended up in the classroom, right? And everybody there, even the person who literally was trying to go for the job, application, the interview, he ended up at school somehow, right? And everybody's there. But then 2-3 weeks later, there's a little bit less. And then a month later, there's a little bit less. And then by the time the final rolls around, there's 7 people in the classroom. And you're like, where did everybody go? The same kind of thing happens in business. A lot of people find out about us. A lot of people see us on social media, but then a few take action and go, you know what? I want to find out more. I'm going to hit that follow button. I'm going to subscribe. I'm going to, request more information, whatever it is. They're going to go to this next step. And what smart businesses do is they realize that this is not the point to start selling, but this is actually the point to start building the relationship. This is actually the point at which we start building value, at which you start creating a connection, at which you start showing that you have some sort of expertise in a need that they have, right? And so whether that comes in giving them a video or giving them an article or showing or telling some story through a picture, whatever it is, there's different means in which we can convey this message. But now that's what we're doing is we've got to create the relationship so that we can get them in a place where they're willing and open to buy stuff. Because if this is why you do what you do. If you give enough stuff, if you give enough value, people will want to give you money. It will get to the point where people are like, I need to pay you, right? I need more, right? I have people, because I do Facebook Lives every day, they will message me and they're like, can I pay you for your time? Right? And so that's how you're able to do that, is you're able to strengthen that relationship so that people so much so are even coming to you, right? And the beautiful thing about the internet is you can engineer each of these steps and optimize each of these steps to make it a very seamless transition from someone finding out about us to being able to like know about us and know our story and know our background and know our product, know what we're about, to being able to be presented a product and a service, to being able to be, offered to buy. And all of that can be automated with software. And so that was the initial draw with the internet. A lot of people got into the internet marketing because they saw people sitting on the beach, making money, on their laptops. And you can get to that point, but there are all these steps that businesses need to account for.
Yeah, that's that foundation. I know Jean, just before you, she was talking about, okay, so if you know your values, if you know your target audience, your target customer, if you know like what content they need to see, like that's going to really make the difference for them is to, be foundationally sound. So I'm curious, like where do you start with people in engineering this journey that they take their audience, their customers through?
It's great that you mentioned them in it, and that's like you go to your customers.
Yeah,
you go to the people, and a lot of marketers, a lot of business owners, they're the experts. They have the answers. They're the people who are very, very passionate about their topics. But the challenge is that their customers and their audience are oftentimes in a different place than they are, whether it's in their skill level, their knowledge level, in their mindset, and so we have to realize that how we think as a quote unquote expert or as a provider is not the mindset that our clients have. And it's definitely not the mindset that our clients have before they bought whatever it is that we do. So we have to be able to be compassionate about that and not be romantic about this is how I sell my product. This is how I sell my service. This is how I wrap it up, how I package it, because you may learn in your research and talking to your people and talking to the, that they don't actually want that. I find that so many marketers, so many internet marketers, they create this course, they create this product, they create this service, whatever it is, and then they release it and nobody wants it. And it's because they didn't take the time to actually go and ask those questions of what do those people actually, not what they need, because you know what they need, but what you need to figure out is what do they want, right? Because what they want and what they need sometimes are the same, but they're oftentimes very, very different.
Yeah.
And so marketers have to get good at selling what the customers want, but businesses still need to be faithful in providing what the customers need. And so it's like gummy bear vitamins, right? Growing up, vitamins were like icky and gross and kids would never eat them. But then all of a sudden people decided that, let's just put it in a gummy bear. And then now they had to limit it. They had to put a warning label of
don't eat too many.
Yeah, because people are like, this is so amazing. And it's the same thing, but it's dressed up in a little bit different of a package. And so what businesses have to be able to do is they have to be able to figure out what is their gummy bear. They know the vitamins that they need to give to their clients, but what's the gummy bear that they can wrap it up in? Damn.
Your metaphors and analogies and stories. On point, brother.
No, I've worked with a lot of, in building my sales business, I've worked with a lot of rookie entrepreneurs. So I had to really, now that as you bring that up, I'm like, damn, I am really good at with these, but I had to take it down to the bare bones so that they can have this oh yeah. And we in the same way need to do that with our customers through our marketing, through our storytelling, go back and get out of our expert tech, nerdy, geeky kind of mindset and get into the customer, the layman's mindset and start there.
Damn. So what is it what do we need to do to start there? What do we need to understand about our customers? Do we need to know where they hang out, the type of language they use, the things that they care about so that we can create stories, create metaphors that relate to where they're at right now?
Yeah. I think it's a simple, for me, of course, there are always more things, but I feel like if you have 3 things, you can really, like you said, create sales copy. You can now create a story that now resonates with these people. You can find examples, case studies, testimonials that are now going to speak to these things. And the first thing is their goals, right? What is their goal, right? What are they trying to chase? And I know that sounds simple, but it's you want to get their language of it, right? So we work a lot in the real estate business, real estate industry, and we don't anymore. So if you're a real estate agent, I'm sorry. I don't have any more space for you, but I do have a course that you can learn how to do. But anyways, point being is we work with them and they are very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find the word here, but what they need to make sure that they do is they need to, or what we're speaking to is helping them make more money.
Right.
Like that's at the end of the day, it's about doing more transactions, making more sales. And so what we speak to is that desire. We speak to that, right? But underneath all those desires, right, is also like underneath that goal is like a real desire. Like, what are they really chasing? Yeah, they want money, but like, what's underneath that money? Like, they want money because they want this, right? So like, there's always an external kind of thing that they're chasing, but then there's an internal thing that external thing that they're hoping it provides. They're hoping that by selling more houses, by making more money, it gives them more freedom. So not only are we speaking about, you know, the external thing, the trophy that they're trying to win, but we're also talking about what is the feeling that they're going to have by winning that trophy. And we want to let them know that our product, our service is going to help them win that trophy. That's going to help them create that feeling of being on that pedestal, right? And then the last thing is, what is their fears? What are the things they're wanting to avoid? What is they want that trophy, but they don't want to do that. People want to lose weight, but they don't want to stop eating good stuff, right? Like what do they want, but then what do they not want either? And then what it does is it allows you to create messages. It allows you to create stories of, hey, here's how people got all of this while still getting around this, right? And by acknowledging whatever that fear is, by acknowledging whatever that is, it endears you with the customer. It resonates with the customer. Now they know that you got their back. They identify with you more because you get them. And those are the three things that, you know, you can do surveys, you can go out and read forums and read, you know, groups and stuff like that to kind of do research. You can conduct one-on-one interviews. There's lots of ways that you can get that research, but in essence, those are the three things that you're trying to pull out from your audience.
Okay. And then once we have those, how do we construct a delivery system of how to say what, when? Because those three things, obviously, we don't want to, I don't know, maybe we do want to put it in every single video, piece of content, etc. I think we need to hit individual ones at different times, at different intervals, right? Yeah.
So I think also talking about platform is great because if there's an established business, right, and if there's, you know, if they're an established business and they have the budget, then they should be putting out content everywhere. They should be writing articles on LinkedIn. They should be putting, you know, pictures on Instagram. They should be creating content for Facebook. They should be able to find like, it shouldn't be an optional thing. If you have like full-time employees, like one of the most important things that someone needs to be doing is managing content on all aspects of these things. However, most people aren't that. Most people are starting out and they're like, it's just me. That's where I was at the beginning. And so for that person, you want to start with, what are you best at? Are you a good writer? Are you a good picture taker? Are you a good, are you good on video? Are you a good talker? Right? Like I created my audience through live video. And that's because for some reason in the 4th grade, I just thought it would be a good idea to join the speech and debate team. And then in 8th grade, I was in the spring musical. And my junior year in high school, I was in the fall play. So I've always been on stages somehow because I don't know. I was nervous as hell every time I auditioned, but I knew that was in me. And so when I looked at, well, how was I going to build it online? I was like, wait a minute, I just hit this button and then people start seeing me and I just talk and then the video's up there. And so that for me made sense. There are some people who I work with who are deathly afraid of video, and they will, we'll go back and forth for 2 weeks about, all right, let's start the video, let's record the video, and they will find every excuse not to record a video for whatever reason. So for those people, there are just as many people in the world who read, or there are just as many people in the world who will listen. Radio shows are not going away. You know this; they're just called podcasts, right? Facebook audios, like it's not going away. And what's interesting is even being able to take a good picture is a storytelling skill, right? I mean, and I don't have it. That's how I know, because I don't have it. Whenever someone asks me, they're like, hey, can you take this picture? I look to my fiance because I'm like, I don't, whenever she asks me to take selfies, I take like 11 because I hope that one of them is good enough And usually it's not, because I don't get the framing. I have no clue. I don't, and there are people who, they go, oh my goodness, look at that sunset. And they whip out their phone and it's just this amazing.
Right.
So you've got to build on your strengths, right? You got to build on your strengths and figure out, okay, if that's what I do, well, then the next step is where are my customers hanging out? Am I in a B2B space? Okay, I should probably hang out on LinkedIn. Am I in an entrepreneur space like this? I should probably hang out on Facebook. Am I targeting older people? I should probably hang out on Facebook. Am I targeting a younger demographic? Okay, Instagram's probably a little bit better. Where am I targeting, right? Am I a writer? Okay, I should probably try it and get, start on Medium. There's all these different, like, they're different parties, right? People who like to, browse video and kind of connect and be socialized, they go on Facebook. People who like to just swipe and look at pictures and watch videos, they go to and so there's all these different places that people congregate and hang out. You've got to figure out where your customers and clients are hanging out, and start there.
Wow. That's awesome, man. So much gold there. I just want to recap. So I heard, like, really just starting at the very end, really knowing where our customers are hanging out. Number one, we can also ask people, whether that's surveys, whether that's having conversations, whether that's reading forums, whatever, to get an idea, get in the head of our prospect, in our target audience, so we know what they're afraid of. We know what they want. We also know what they need, which is usually not the problem. All right. Usually I don't think people, online marketers and building a personal brand, we don't have a challenge with knowing what these people need. It's about how to communicate the value. It's about how to deliver it, how to put it in front of them, how to story tell so that they want it. Because so many people are walking around saying, I got all this value. I know this. I got the wisdom. Like, come on, why aren't you banging on my door? Come get it. But it's the approach. It's the how it's delivered that has people want to receive it. And it's through that building relationship. And then also using the right medium for you. For everyone listening, stop trying to do it all. I think that's something even me, like, I've been challenged with. Is like, oh, LinkedIn, ooh, Instagram, ooh, Facebook. Like, I want to do it all. And there may be a time and a place in the future where I'm able to market on all of them. And what is my strength? Video. Love being on video. It's a blast. So how do I master video now and, get it to a place where I can deliver it to people and story tell and have consistency and have a message and have the ability to have people say, ooh, that video spoke to my heart. I want more. I want communication. I want to reach out. I want to tell Hector, hey, how can I pay you money? Because it's just so awesome. That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
it. Yeah, that's a great recap of it for sure. You got it all.
Cool, man. Cool. So in terms of your courses, like, what are you teaching people in these courses that you do? Is there anything additional based on, other than what we've talked about so far?
Yeah, I specifically found my blue ocean, my niche, if you will, talking about messenger marketing, and in the internet world, it's called chatbots. But people have been doing direct response marketing forever, ever since the postman started coming around. I'm sure people started selling stuff in the mail. And it went to, there was a time, I didn't even know this until recently, but there was a time where direct response marketers even started to send faxes, right? They used to send that. Like, can you imagine? Like, I would be so upset if my printer went off in the middle of the thing and then I'm using my ink to get your shit. Oh my goodness. I would be furious. But I could see why that got shut down really quickly. But then email came along, and obviously email is great because of all of its capacity and all of it. It's very, very low cost. But then this new messenger apps have become one of the most used apps in the world. I believe we just crossed the 2 billion. I say we, I guess we're on a team, but the messenger apps have just crossed 2 billion users. And so by the end of the year, it's projected to be somewhere in between 2 to 3 billion people who are actively using messenger apps. And so now businesses can follow up, just like they had someone's phone number. They can actually send them a text. They basically can send them a text message right to their Facebook Messenger. So I teach people how to use that new platform. And, I build in all of these other things that I've been talking about and, kind of creating what we marketers call a chatbot.
Cool. And specifically, again, you focus on millennials. That's your.
No, the funny thing is, it's just someone willing enough to be. I think millennial is a mindset, I think that mindset is a willingness to learn and appreciate. I think those are the two things that millennials, I think for like a real millennial has, right? Is that they appreciate what it was like before the internet because they know what it was like before the internet. They remember what those times were like. I think we talked about that, on our pre-call, but they distinctly have this idea of what a pre-internet world was like. And I think the right ones, that gives them an appreciation and a gratitude for the gift that we've really been given. Whereas a lot of kids these days, they were born with iPads in their lap and they're born with apps. So that appreciate it, they take it for granted, right? And so I just think that appreciation allows for us to, I don't know. I just think that that's a different kind of perspective that we have that they don't have, and I think that that's an advantage. And then the second thing is just a willingness to learn, right? And, willingness to utilize these new tools. Because I've got people in my course who've got, I don't ask their age, but they've got to be 60, 70 years old. But they're the most hippest people I know because they're willing to stay young. They're willing to be young. And that's just a mindset. They're willing to have a growth mindset. And so no, we don't, when I got started, I was really passionate about helping young people because a large majority of the previous generation have this like block in their brain about certain things, one of them being like the internet. And so I just found that I wasn't going to get through to those people. So I just shifted to the people who actually I felt, who were ready and willing. And I had experience in, I've been coaching 17-year-old kids and starting their business since I was 17, so it came natural to me in doing that. But no, everybody is welcome.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. So tell us more and our audience more about your perspective on marketing, how you market, what are you doing nowadays that's working for you, and give us the inside scoop. I just got a message today, and it was a long message. Someone who bought my course a couple weeks ago, and it was a long message. And so like anytime you get those long messages, you're like, oh man, what's coming up? Yeah.
and it was crazy because it literally started with just a heads up. I've purchased a lot of courses. And I was like, I got this in the middle of another live stream. I'm like, okay, well, all right. And I've had bad things, and you have refunds and whatever. Things happen.
Yeah.
But then he goes, and I mean a lot, but he goes on to say, yours is by far my favorite. And that's because you're the one that shows up and provided value. And he basically just said that I went above and beyond, and I answer questions, and I have, I'm there a lot for my, people live. And so I am terrified of anybody having leverage over me. And so I'm terrified of anybody giving more and feeling like I took advantage of anybody. And so I just give an excessive amount. And that's through my content and my time and the goodies and the bonuses that I do. And I'm a big believer in goodwill, and I've really, in whatever capacity that, and I think that that's applicable to any business, and just giving more than you expect. And at the beginning, it doesn't always pay off. At the beginning, it's this outflow for sure. But what I've also seen is that it creates a much better foundation and also a quicker way to get that. Because if you just keep burning through those relationships and you're never actually building real fans, or you're never really building a real community, then you're just going to stay at the same place. Yeah. But what I've learned about the digital space is people stick around and they buy more stuff and they tell more people. And so by doing the right thing and by giving more, it always works out. And that's what I've found. It works for me. And I think that maybe that's not very technical, but that's what came up.
It's a good philosophy. It's a great keystone philosophy. Everyone who's listening is give. Be a giver. Go give. There's a book called The Go Giver.
Or like a no-brainer, like just like big. I hate selling stuff, so I hate getting to that point where it's like dun it. Like what are they gonna do? Are they gonna buy them? Like I hate that. I want to get to the end and someone to be like, oh my goodness, if I have the money, yeah, let's do it.
Right.
That's so much better. And of course, there's the conversations of if they don't have the money, they don't have the money. But I don't take that personally either. Mm-hmm. But I want to create an opportunity where if I get to the end of it, someone's like, I get all this, and that's okay. Like that for me is such a better relationship and a better way to come into a buying situation. Because early in my career, I was also on the other side where I just tried to pry every single dollar out of them that I could and get as much out of them as I could. And that it just left a weird feeling, and I didn't like it. And I don't think it's long-term beneficial for businesses. So yeah, that's why I think that it's just a good philosophy and strategy in marketing, especially. Definitely. So in terms of the actual tactics, what are you deploying right now in terms of your videos that you're making? What do you focus on in the content and what you talk about? How do you do that? Yeah. So I do a Facebook Live almost every single day, and really, bring just value to my people every single day, both so that I show up on their newsfeed every single day and I'm constantly top of mind. Yep. But then also that, you see it, you start to create relationships with these people on lives, and those people start to stick around and they start commenting more, and it's a snowball, and then those people end up being customers and clients, and the whole thing happens. So I just find a way. For me, I'm a content provider. So I find a way to give, and that's through Facebook Lives. But then, in terms of tactically what's working is I also am not romantic about talking about what I want to talk about. I've realized that I'm not at that place in my business, and I'm not Oprah yet. So I don't just get to decide what I want to talk about. So I really listen to the feedback. I'm constantly conducting surveys. I'm constantly going back to those surveys, and I'm constantly asking lots of questions. Yes, because questions are good for engagement, and yes, because questions are good for all of that stuff. But even more than that, I'm listening and I'm trying to read between the lines. I'm trying to see similarities of what are common concerns, and I'm talking about those things. And I found that some like I don't give a crap about money. I don't care. People like talking about making money. It's what people like to talk about. So once again, I'm not going to be romantic about that. I'm going to dress up making money, and I'm going to show them how to create something great for their life. And then everybody wins, and then they get this awesome thing. They're like, I made money. At the end of it, they're like, oh my goodness, my life is better too. and so for me, I'm constantly trying to figure out what's that hook, what's their desires, what are their fears, because they're changing. They're constantly changing. I'm putting out content in regards to that, not content that's just, what do I want to talk about? Because I realized that didn't work. I'm not that important.
How do you deal with like cycles? Do you find like your business is cyclical? Like some months it'll be super like, oh yeah, there's a ton of customers, ton of clients, woohoo! And then some months you're like, what the? I swear I put out some gold this morning on this Facebook Live. What's going on here?
It always comes back to systems for me, and like people have habits, business have systems, and it's like those are the two. And if you have good habits as an individual, usually, and you're a solopreneur, then your business will have good systems. But you as an individual could have good habits, and if you have a team member or you have things, that doesn't mean that you have good. They're interchangeable, but if people look at them, they're the same kind of thing. Right. And what was interesting is my mentor Hal Elrod, who I mentioned earlier on the call, when he initially before he even wrote the book, I knew him before he was famous, before he was an author. But what we talked about, it was interesting, is like if we set a sales goal and we hit half of our sales goal, we only sold half of our goal, it was usually because we only did half of the effort. We only made half the calls. We only did half of the things that we said that we were supposed to do. No. And so if we look back at okay, why didn't we do that? Well, the habit wasn't there. The system wasn't built in. And so what happens with cycles, and I have it for sure, but when I see that, I'm like, okay, that means that there's a system missing. That means that I'm running on pure energy. And what happens is a lot of times in my business, we have this spike where it happens multiple times in our agency where we'll sign 3-4 clients in a single day. And I'm like, woo, we're on fire. And then we will go like 2 or 3 weeks without signing anybody. What the hell is going on? And it's because we have these like, it's like these crypto freaking charts, right? It's like these massive rises, and then we get fat and happy, and then we stop. And then we're like, oh shit, we need results. So then we rev up again. And what it is this activity. Yeah. And so for me, it's like, okay, how do we create a system that's just going to operate, that's just going to chug along, that's just going to be a machine that chugs along, despite, ideally despite our individual kind of efforts, right? If you can engineer a system that just moves, that's kind of what I think is a cure to those inconsistencies.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So we're beginning to wrap up here, and we want to know, like, what are the final takeaways or any points that we didn't quite get to yet today, philosophies, anything like that. So
I think just, in kind of recapping, what you want to do is you want to find a way. I think there's stages of things, right? The first stage is awareness, or that attention you talked about, right? And just being able to like get somebody's attention and just kind of like stand out to them. That's the first thing that everybody needs to do. And there are lots of ways and methods and of course gimmicks to do that, but you need to figure out how are we going out and actively generating the attention of our ideal clients. But then the second thing is we need to get them to engage. We need to get them, and we need to find a way for there to be a certain group that's willing for us to build that relationship with, right? We need to be able to get them to essentially allow us to follow up with them. We need to get their email address. We need to get them in our Facebook group. We need to get them on our mailing list. We need to get something that they say, I want your help. I want your info. I want something from you, right? So whether we create a free training or a lead magnet, or I know with a lot of brick and mortar businesses, simply doing a free class, right? If you're like a gym, a free nutrition class, right? Or so like just something, right? So that people, they don't have to right away pay with their money, because before someone will pay with their money, they have to pay with their time, right? And a lot of times people might rather pay more money than give you their time. But what businesses can understand is that if they can get someone to give their time, then you will, out of those people, you can find some buy. It's the next stage of commitment. Right. So don't just go, oh, hey, we find out about you, give us money. If you can go, hey, we find out about you, hey, give us some of your time. There's a much greater chance that out of those people are going to be willing to buy from you, and you can have that next kind of sales conversation. So figuring out, how does someone find out about you, to how do they ask you to sell to them, right? Whether that's on your email list, whether that's going to a seminar, like people are smart. They know what these things are. But if you provide something genuinely valuable and helpful, it doesn't matter. And then obviously you have your product and service down at the bottom. Too many businesses just worry about the product and service, whereas we marketers, we have a job because we're like, hey, you need this relationship. You need to get their attention first.
Build the ladder.
That's it.
That's it, man. Awesome. So Hector, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. How do people stay connected with you, brother?
Yeah. Go to, if you go to m.me/millennial skills, there's free trainings on there, free trainings about just the whole business concept. And then there's free trainings on there about, specifically Facebook Messenger marketing. So you can go there, find out about it, and connect with me there. And I've got a few spots left on my friends list on Facebook. So like I said, I'm there every day, doing Facebook Lives, because I just personally enjoy that connectivity with my audience.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Hector, thank you so much for coming on today, dude. And I know we're going to be meeting up here pretty soon. You're going to be heading down this way.
Yeah, fellow SoCal. Yeah, totally.
Yes, man. So thanks for coming on. Everyone, you heard it. Hector has some valuable stuff to give to you. Follow him, add him as a friend. Go to m.me/millennial skills and rock it out.